The cosine rule. Okay, so when do we use the cosine rule? Whenever you're trying to solve a question, first of all use the sine rule, and generally if the sine rule doesn't work, then it's basically going to be a cosine rule question generally. So the cosine rule is used when you basically have a question where there's three sides and one angle. Okay. So there's basically four things, three sides and one angle, and one of those things will be missing and you're trying to find it. So let's have a look at finding a side. When do we use it for that? So basically what you're going to have is your triangle and you are looking for one of the sides. So let's say this one. And what you will have to know in order to find out the length of that side is two sides and the angle in between. Okay. If you have two sides, the lengths of two sides of a triangle, and you know the angle in between, and you're looking for the opposite angle, the opposite length to that angle, then it's always cosine rule. So it's a useful thing to kind of remember this diagram. Okay, that's classic cosine rule. You can see we have three sides and one angle in the question. One of those sides we're looking for. What about when you're finding an angle? Well, when you've got this triangle and you are looking for this angle, then you can see three sides and one angle. We will have to know the lengths of the three sides. So if you know the lengths of the three sides of a triangle and you're trying to find one of the angles inside, then that's another case where you use the cosine rule. Now the formulas, which hopefully you remember from last year. That's the formula you use if you are finding the length of a missing side. And if you rearrange that, we'll get the formula we need to use when we're finding an angle. Now, in order to use these formulas, obviously you may have the triangle labelled differently, but the main thing to remember is that the angle has to be labelled big A, basically. So you can ignore what the letters they're using in the question. If you're using these two versions, just remember that the A, big A, is the angle, and the side opposite that has to be the small a. Okay, so same is true when you're finding the angle. Label the angle you want to find as big A, and the side opposite has to be small a in the formula. The other two, the B and the C, don't actually make a difference. If you look at the formulas, you can swap them over and it wouldn't make any difference to the formulas. So the other two are just B and C. So concentrate on making sure that A's are in the right place, and the B and the C can be the other two sides. It doesn't matter which way round it is. So let's do a couple of examples. So question 1, 2. Now you can see here they've labelled this side is A, so that's fine for us. Obviously opposite side is A, so this is perfect for us, perfectly labelled. So we're trying to find a length A, so we're going to use the first formula. Okay, so we just put in the information basically. We're looking for the A, so that's A squared. B and C doesn't matter. Notice we've got the classic cosine. We have two sides and the angle in between, and we're trying to find the opposite length. So we'll let B be 10 then. So 10 squared plus 12 squared. So just replace the numbers. So we have that. So then all we need to do is to work out what's on the right hand side. So we just use a calculator for that. a mistake a lot of people make is that they do this bit first. They do 10 squared plus 12 squared minus 2 times 10 times 12, get the answer, and then times by cos 38. But that won't work. The cos 38 is only times by the last bit here. So just type it in directly and the calculator will do everything for you. So this is telling me that a squared is 54.877. So I just need to square root that. And I get 7.41 meters. Yeah, so it's reasonably kind of straightforward to work out the length. So you have to check that this condition, two sides, angle in between, you're finding the opposite length. Okay, now in this question, we're finding an angle. And you can see we have the conditions for finding an angle because we have the three sides and we're finding one of the angles. Now notice they've labelled it B here, but we don't want that. We always want to label the angle as A. For some reason I can't write on the top of this at the moment. So this is angle A here. Let's change it from B to an A. And the opposite side to that is going to be small a, and the other two lengths are just B and C. We don't mind which way around they are. So the formula that we did before was cos A equals B squared plus C squared minus A squared all over 2BC. So we're just going to put this into it. So the B and C don't matter. So we've got 8 squared plus 11 squared minus the A squared. So this is important that the A has to be the 9. All divided by 2 times B times C. So 2 times 8 times 11. Okay. So what we're going to do is put this into the calculator. Now you do have to be careful with these calculators. You really need to put a bracket around the top and a bracket around the bottom. Otherwise it may do some strange things. So let's do that then. So squared plus squared divided by, and then open brackets, 2 times 8 times 11. Okay, so that gives me 0.59. 59, I suppose. And then of course we just do cos inverse cos of that number. But do not round it off. Use the calculator full answer. So we need to do shift cos, second cos, and then answer. And we get 53.8 as our angle.